Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We from Group 7, we will presentation about Advertorial. The presentation is me, Tresna, and my friend Ayu Dina. And the editor is Devina Inka. Okay, I will start the first presentation. The definition Advertorial. Advertorial is the form of advertising that is presented in a journalistic language style. Advertorial comes from two words in English, advertising and editorial. Advertising is the presentation of material persuasively to the public through mass media with the aim promoting goods or service. And the editor is a statement about opinion, which is the official attitude of the editor. Their success depends on the first, the relevance of the product to the reader. The advertorial must contain information about the product that can make the reader interested in buying or wanting the product. And the next is the fit with the motivation for magazine purchase. Every magazine has a marketing target and the marketing objective. Therefore, we must be able to choose what we want to convey in the product advertorial to fit the magazine that we choose. The next is the product category relevance. When we make advertorial, we must be able to manage the product and know where it came from. For example, in fashion magazine, then the advertorial that is given contain product relevant to fashion. And the next is the fit with the editor style, content, and image of the magazine. As explained earlier in the advertorial, an editor is needed. Editor must be able to adjust the style, content, and image in one advertorial of a product. And the next is the balance between the information and selling. Because the advertorial, the media is quite limited, the making must be paid attention to be information to be given and attract the attention of the buyer so the product sells. The next is step of advertorial. The first is get the brief right. Each advertorial position information is very important. There are three important things as we can see from the advertorial. Example, we must first be able to determine the type of writing for the title. This is very important because when some first see advertorial, then the first time is the read is the title. If the title is less interesting, it will not attract the reader. The next sentence and paragraph is. This is very important to determine how much information will be given, and that information must be also cover all the advantage of the product. And the last is typeface is in the advertorial is not uncommon for image of human. The expression given must be able to reference the product. The second is headlines. As in other advertisement, this is very important because it can give attention to the reader. Here can contain information about statement, request, question, and invitation and challenge, all of which are held to be advertorial style used in the product. The next is body copy, almost the same as headlines. Also contain complete information by presenting customs one. It's just that the information provided here is it the form of sentence, both short or long sentence. What is interesting is that with the sentence the reader can be interested in the product, as in the example advertorial. The next is contracting the future. The first is a case study on a major product or service, your lead story, And the next is a case study on a second product or a service benefit minor story. Both of them tell about the beginning of the product or the start of a business, but the main story or major story is a complete story, while the minor story is only a side story of the product information, so they're a first story. The next is a box contain bit-sized pieces of information, other author, product, service, benefit in order of information. It's previously it contained a story about a product, then now the information contain another product story, which is only provide a special place so that the product remain visible first. Illustration to suit your story. The story in the form of writing a story about the product can also be formed through the illustration of picture that can still represent the story you want to be the same. The next is first paragraph. As we can often see in the example in Advertorial, there is often a paragraph that stands out. The paragraph has a style and type of word that is different from the other. This attraction attention so that the reader remain interested in the reader the advertorial. Other than the one paragraph must contain a summary of all information. And the next is response mechanism. This is very important for reader who want to contact the seller. The response mechanism is usually found in the product is the form of service, like the advertorial example of hotel in the slideshow. The next presentation will be delivered by my friend Ayu Dina. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you to my friend who has given the materials before, and I will continue the materials. It's still about the step of advertorial, and the next step is a case studies or testimonial. As you know, testimonial is when the customers talk about your product. You can choose testimonial to put on your advertorial. And the person who gives testimonials sometimes referred to as a case study. A good case study can highlight your product benefit and make your potential customer be interested. And the next is legal matters. You can put the sign of legal matters maybe that exist or that you have on your product, so it makes the advertorial more trusted, your product more trusted maybe. And for example, in Indonesia, sign halal from MUI or sign BPOM, yes, like that, legal matters. And the next is choosing a case study. If you want a case study to review or to give testimonial for your product, you have to choose a customer who the first is has been pleased with your product service, because maybe they will give positive comments for your products, and then fits your average customer profile and fits the readership profile for the media you're using. And you can get a case study from a good source, and a good source of a case study maybe from people who write a complimentary letter or tells your staff how pleased they are using your product, how pleased they are with your product. And then from your own customer database and from your staff. Maybe you can ask your staff to make a note for the people who fits for your on your product, and you can have a testimonial or a review from them. And after you choose a case study, the next step is writing up the case study. You need to have an information from them to review your product, to give a testimonial for your product. And it includes their name, where they live, age and occupation, and why they bought your product. It because of a quality or price or others, and what actually happened. It means that what actually happened after they use your product, and then would they recommend you to others. And the next is kind of advertorial. The first one is advertorial of product. It discusses about what products are to be presented to the public. For example, daily needs such as food, drinks, or others. And the second is advertorial of corporate. It discusses about the existence and activities of a company or agency. And then advertorial of service. Advertorial of service discuss about the service offered on the audience. And the last is advertorial of government. It's discussing about the activities in government. For example, announcement about tax charging and others. And the next is function and purpose. The purpose of advertorial is to introduce and to promote its activities or products or service from one company to the audience. And the function of advertorial is to companion translation, interpreted, as well as advertisement contained in the mass media. And then characteristic of advertorial. The first one is informative or promoting or introducing the product. And then explanative, describe and explain the product. Third is interpretative, interpret the information on products by giving a number of comments or statements. The fourth is persuasive, encourage the audience to follow what the author desired. And the fifth is influentive, encouraging the action of audience. And then compliment the audience on the information that has been provided, so the audience will be interested. And then argumentative, proving something by giving an argument and analytical description. And the last is explorative, to reveal and explain in depth the information provided on the audience. And the last is technique of advertorial. Implementation of writing includes the first one, creating intro or theories. It has to be introductive, attractive, and correlative. And then making the body. It is about information that you want to give to the audience. And the last is making the cover to add your advertorial more interesting. After that, repair or editing. After you do advertorial writing, you have to edit your writing, so it will make your advertorial better and more planned. And maybe that's all from us. If you wanna ask something, you can comment below, and we will try to answer your question and give you more explanation. And thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.